Back when episode 1 aired of SukaSuka, I made a claim that, depending on how the execution was, this could have the same effect on me that Anohana did. And for those who don't know, anime doesn't make me cry. There's one video game that's ever made me cry, and that's the ending to the first season of Telltale's The Walking Dead. That made me bawl like a baby, and in terms of anime, only Anohana has made me shed many tears. And the reason for that is because how Anohana finishes off, because everyone who watched Anohana should probably know what was going to happen by the end of the first episode. It pretty much made it clear that there was going to be some heartbreak, but the reason it was sad is because you built up to that heartbreak, and you got a satisfying conclusion that even though it was sad, it was still hopeful in its own way. And I made a claim that I think SukaSuka had the same ability, the same chance to do something very similar that Anohana did. It was clear as day that this series was not going to wrap up with everyone living happily ever after, but we didn't know exactly how it was going to go, and it was all about building up to episode 12, where everything would get sad. But SukaSuka made my eyes water beyond belief that it was so damn close to having tears falling down my face. Though this didn't become my anime of the season like I thought it was going to be, this was a fantastic series at the core. Yes, there is still more story after where this anime leaves off, and they have kind of rearranged certain things, so some people think of season 2 as impossible. But for me, I'm very satisfied with how this ended. Back in episode 1, actually Catholi with red hair jumping off the ship saying she's the happiest girl in the world right now is actually how episode 1 starts off. So I knew coming into this episode more or less how this was going to go down. And honestly, the execution was brilliant. Having Scarborough Fair and just everything, the emotional range that both the visuals and audio gave made this so emotional. And honestly, this ended in the way I think it should. Now, first things first, I want to say, some people I saw, like, I assume they're anime onlys, because if they read, I would assume they would think otherwise, were thinking that both Catholi and Willem are still alive. Catholi ain't alive. She is 100% dead, as you can see by Baby, who seems to be Catholi, but, you know, a reborn, a new creation, a new version of Catholi. Could just maybe look like her, a different personality, but we see that her spirit was reborn into a new, I assume, fairy. Or maybe that was a flashback, but either way, she was dead after she said thank you to Willem. Like, after Willem and her's final goodbye on the earth there, 100% she died. The two little flashes on the little, like, podium thing that the wizard was looking at, that was Willem, and I think it was Nephrin, was that her name? I forget, but the other fairy who Catholi removed all of the kind of like red eyes that she had. I don't know exactly how she did that. I assume maybe she made a contract with the little girl or something like that that gave her the ability. I don't know 100%. I'm willing to let it pass and just say, sure, it makes sense. She was able to take off the kind of burden that she had and then take it on for herself because she was going to die anyway. So those were the two that are down below. So you can assume that eventually Willem and her are going to make it back home and, I don't know, have a family again without Catholi, sadly. And you could also assume possibly that this new baby who looks very much like Catholi eventually will grow up and maybe she will have the same memories. Maybe she'll meet Willem again. There is that bit of hopefulness that even though it's so sad that they had to part ways, she kept their promise to Willem and made sure that he didn't have to fight all the battles anymore, that she would, and she saves him. And there is a slight spoiler that I read from the light novels. Apparently after where this leaves off, it gets confirmed supposedly that the amount of beasts that Catholi killed before she died supposedly was so much that these beasts can't go back and attack the Sky Islands for quite a while because of how many she slayed before she died. Which is kind of insane. Like, you did get a good sense of scale when she was killing those beasts, but when I read that, I was like, wow, that's absolutely incredible. Like, not only did she save the man she loves, she also protected a lot of her family for probably many years, and also would give them hope so that even though they're stranded on this planet, they should be able to get home and get home safely without too many issues. So I do like how it ended, and I mean, I assume that whole baby situation was a reborn sequence, like showcasing that her spirit was reborn into a new body. It wasn't like, you know, a flashback to when she was originally born. Like, even if it was a flashback, which I don't think it would still work nonetheless, but I do think it was symbolizing, like, there is a chance that she was reborn and maybe she'll grow up to be who she was originally, or maybe she'll be different, but Willem will love her the same either way. I do have the sense that there is that hopefulness, there is that possibility that maybe down the line we'll never see it, but maybe they will meet up again and they will have that happily ever after marriage that they promised each other. But at the core, this really felt like love. It really felt like they portrayed love in a very true way, risking your life for the one you love, and just how they handled it, especially with the Scarborough Fair track. This was sad, but it was also sweet, and also it was bittersweet. Even though it had so much emotions with Catholi dying, the fact that Willem and the other girl, I think it was Nephrin is her name, but you never won't know with these fairies, the fact that both of them were saved because of the amount of beasts that she killed, giving them hopefully a future so these other fairies can grow up and be able to get trained properly, not have to be thrown into battle at an early age and possibly die. This did what it needed to. This wasn't a flawless series. It definitely felt a little iffy at certain points, which is going to happen when you are kind of taking some aspects from different novels and rearranging it, and some people called it rush. It just felt a little off here or there, and there was some weird fan service off and on. But at the core, SukaSuka delivered a fantastic story that was compelling and made my heart melt and shatter all in one, and I enjoyed every single minute of this series. And this is going to be one of those series that I definitely will be recommending to people, and I'll definitely rewatch maybe in a few weeks after I kind of settle down with my emotions and I can kind of rewatch that final episode again, because at the core, this was a fantastic series. And though it didn't go as emotional as something like Anohana, it was still emotional in its own regards, and to that, I thank it for it. I'm gonna miss reviewing SukaSuka every single week. If they were to make a season 2, which I can definitely see how they could, I would definitely watch, but based on what everyone's been saying, the way they rearrange certain content makes it almost impossible to do a second season, but that could just be light novel readers being picky. But either way, I'm actually very satisfied with how it is. It's hopeful. It has an open ending to it, but you can kind of piece together in your own mind what's going to happen afterwards. And I actually think it's best for it to stay at this point, at least for myself. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. How emotional did this episode make you? Was this your favorite episode? Because I can definitely say it was my favorite. Just let me know your thoughts on SukaSuka overall down in the comment section below. And before you leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.